Hi, welcome to Midweek camera roll number 9. I'm knocking them out, I'm quite pleased to say. I have been out with my camera this week, and so I do have some images to show you. However, if I come across as a bit lethargic or tired, I woke at 1:30 this morning, something I ate, and I couldn't get back to sleep, so it's already hitting me. Nonetheless, the show must go on, right? So I've got about 35 images to show you. This week I was doing some scouting for locations, so I took the camera with me. And when I say I was scouting for locations, the video coming out on Saturday is part of that scouting session. I then did a little jaunt down to Folkestone, because I always do that. And then I did some night photography. And then finally some bird photography. How about that? Photographer of things. That's what I always call myself. So let's have a look at the images. I'll talk you through my thought processes and see how we get on. I have to say that I'm really quite pleased that these midweek photo sessions have been received so well. I kind of thought it would be hit and miss, but it turns out quite a few of you are, quite enjoying it. So I'll keep going until people have had enough. Drop me a comment and say, had enough, Tudor. Can you get back to just normal photography? Equally, just walking around, my walk around, shoot, what is it? Not shoot what you see, but when I just take the old Sony Cybershot out with me and do walkabouts, those kind of videos are going down well. Is it because I just ramble on and on about wherever I am rather than the photography? I've been following so many channels for such a long time, and I'd like to think that my photography videos are not formulaic. One day I'll be out with the tripod, next day I'll be out, with the Cybershot, that kind of thing. Anyway, so first section of photos then, here we go. I was doing a vlog for the Saturday release, which is all about autumn, and I dropped the grandson down at Canterbury because he had a football match. So I thought, let's do a scouting location for the video I want to do and try and find some locations. So for this shot, I drove up to the University of Canterbury, and they've got some wonderful colours and trees, but I just saw the cathedral through the trees, and I thought, it just makes for a nice shot, doesn't it, with the sky and everything like that. We've definitely got the autumn hints in the trees there. Definitely worth cloning out some of the aspects. There's an aerial on the far right. There's an orange or yellow crane. But you know what? It is what it is. You can't be cloning everything out, can you? So then I was driving down a couple of country lanes and I spied this one. Isn't it funny how some areas, the trees are almost bereft of leaves now? It's almost like they were green, orange, fallen. But I caught this, I thought, looking down the lane, maybe in a week or two's time, that might be a good shot. And this is part of the scouting session. So I tried one in portrait. I don't think it's particularly clear, but I'm showing it to you anyway. There's that lane on the left, and on the right of it, you've got this lovely tree with the gate and the paddock in the background. It looks like a paddock. Nice hint of sky, so I've left a lot of open space on the right. I thought that's quite nice. So then the next morning, early morning rising, I was actually doing the school run for the kids. So I thought I'll knock out a couple of shots down at the Folkestone harbour, like I did last week. And I just saw this row of benches. Depth of field is shot to bits because I was focusing on the bench in the front, so everything else is blurred in the background. But again, it's all part of the scouting for locations, isn't it? So standing where I was, it's a case of, okay, just pan around and see what there is to take a photograph of. And so I took a couple of shots from where I was stood. I don't normally get the shot of the harbour arm from this aspect because I'm quite high up. If you've seen me taking photos from down there, and I often point up to the cliffs, well, I was up kind of at the cliffs. It's kind of where the warren is. So you get a nice kind of, I'm not going to say bird's eye view, but you get my drift. It's looking down on the harbour arm. And the sky, as usual, doing some amazing things. So a little pan to the left, and there's the sun. Caught some of the bushes in the foreground, and the sky doing its thing. All handheld. Yeah, a little to the right. It fascinates me that the English Channel is one of the busiest waterways in the world, and you're never short of seeing, we see the ferries, but you see all the big container ships and tankers and things. So I thought I'll catch that. So then I turned to the right. Now we had this big cloud coming over, and I love a shot like this because the sun, as you saw in that previous picture, was washing down on the houses and the roofs, but there was a grey sky in the background. You can see the sun reflecting on the house on the right there in the window. It's one of those things that it's a photograph of so many things to look at. What do you want to look at? Well, actually, you can spend a few minutes just looking at everything. The little patio on the fore right, the house on the right there's out of focus. So that might be a case of cropping in, editing the image. But I left it in for the sake of the midweek camera roll. So then, it was actually last night, and maybe this is why I stayed up late. I went down to Dover, had to do some shopping, but I thought I'll take the camera and I'll go down to Dover. And my goodness, it was cold. I think it was -1 degree Celsius. So with the wind chill factor, it felt like it was -3 or -4. I'm right on the coast, so it's all blowing in. Anyway, I got some nice shots. I think I got some nice shots. So I parked up, first of all, just opposite the Premier Inn. You can see the terraced houses, the crescent at the back. I think it's called Wellington Crescent. But what I liked was the kind of arcing street lights that go along the promenade, and you've got these concrete painted white bollards. Are they bollards? It's fencing of some kind, but barriers stop the cars going on, and they're illuminated by the lights. So we've got light off into the distance. I thought, let's try that as a portrait. So, nothing to write home about, but I'm kind of on the cycle path again, following it down. So then I walked down to where the Wellington Crescent starts, and if you look to the right, you're stood on the kind of the promenade area. That walkway on the right with the purple hue walks through into Dover High Street. But I loved the ambient light. So you've got these two vertical lights illuminating the footpath, and the lights all along the edge of the building are throwing their light onto the building as well as the lights from within the building. So a lovely, lovely shot, worthy of a calendar, I think. So I stood where I was again, and this is the thing, taking pictures, looking all around you, look behind you. Is there anything else that you can take a photograph of? And while all the lights on the crescent were basically turned off, this one building at the end, I think it's an office, because there was someone walking about, clipboard and all that kind of stuff. We're talking, 5:30, 6 o'clock, so not particularly late, but certainly dark. And I caught this kind of semicircular roofing. I like it. It's a nice little picture. So from that previous picture where I was looking into that other row of houses, I walked down there and I thought, let's see if I can get a couple of shots from this location. So lo and behold, the castle again. You can get a picture of Dover Castle from all sorts of locations. And what I wanted to do here, and I've done this in a previous shot, is to include the modern block of flats on the right. You can just about make out below the castle the another row of houses. So it's kind of modern architecture versus 12th century architecture. Worthy of cropping. I could lift up the bottom. It's one of those things that, you know, can you look at the picture like this? So Mike Brown does it all the time. He says, get yourself an object and see if you can, you know, close one eye and do that. So yeah, it could be cropped. I think I could lose the lamp on the left, but I liked it. It was good. So then I'm stood on the little roundabout looking down towards the purple light that goes to the town centre. And it just, yeah, it's messy, but it's intriguing is the word I'm going to look for. You know, the homes, 3 of them for sale. Crazy. Well, two of them are sold. Would you want to live in a house so close to the dual carriageway there? Some people would. Now there's a purple hue, and at the last building on the end of the terrace here is an Indian restaurant. And all the outside is all illuminated with this purple light. So I've got a long exposure going on. I think I've got about 25 seconds going on here because I wanted to avoid having a truck, but I needed the right light. But what's happening is you've got these white trucks driving past, and the purple wash is washing onto the light. And it's giving us this kind of purple streak across the screen. So I walked a little further down. You can see where it says town centre there. And I caught myself a shot of the underpass. Everything, I think, is lined up. Again, I could have cropped in a little on the left there. Maybe even on the right, and just have it start at the 2 edges of the posts for the town centre sign. It's really quite, I like what they've done here. The underpass is wonderful. I've done a video on the underpass before. But it's all illuminated, it's clean. I don't think it feels threatening. And I like this whole town centre thing. I wonder if on the other side it says to the seaside. So then I thought, okay, let's see if we can capture some of this purple haze stuff going on. So I've taken, let's have a look here, 3 more images, and there's a sequence. So I'll drop the first one in. You can see I've got a vehicle coming in on the right, and then the next one gives me a vehicle in the middle, and then a vehicle on the left. They're actually 3 different vehicles or trucks. So 1, 2, 3. All with the same settings, you know, sort of 20-second exposure and catches the light. Trying to be arty, aren't I? So I walked back to where that building was with the semicircular dome thing. I thought, let's aim the camera left and right from there. So park myself down there. So the first thing I spied was the street lamp, kind of old and authentic, but look at the light it's throwing down onto the path. Now this shot, you could take so many different aspects. You could kind of crop in on the benches and the posts. You could even avoid the posts and go beyond that and just get the illuminated trees with the back. You could even get Jubilee Way, and in fact I have a picture of Jubilee Way, so let's have a look at it. Long exposure, 25 seconds. I was aware of the vehicles, I was going to say trucks, but the vehicles going up and down Jubilee Way. So I wanted to capture the light. And there's always kind of a hazy mist, so all those very tall lamps throw a triangular beam down. quite nice actually, quite a nice picture. I turned around and this is actually a 2-shot pano of, I'm going to say Wellington Crescent, but I'm not sure if it is. I'll put it on the screen. I might be right. So I shut down the aperture, I think f16, f20, so that I could get starbursts on the lights. And it's, I think the only thing that's bad about this image is that I had a lens flare at the top right on the right hand side of the tallest lamp there, and you can see it's kind of illuminating a green hue. But otherwise, a nice pleasant shot of the crescent from the promenade. So then turning a little to my left from this shot, we've got the harbour all built up. So I've got myself a bit of construction. I think actually this is a crane that offloads cargo off the container ships that dock up there. But again, I like the light in its triangular form coming down, and yet you can see the whole crane thing is illuminated and then all the light washing down. So a little more to the left, I was taken by how there was a low-lying cloud and it was illuminated by France. So all that yellow illumination is coming from France. So all of Calais and everything was all lit up. And that's what happens when you have an overcast sky. You've got all the illumination. It's not particularly sharp, at least not the France element, because it's mostly a dark picture. But by including the edge of the pier on the right, you can see there's a kind of like a tugboat under the green lights. And you've got a couple of lights from the harbour arm on the other side of the gateway into the harbour. But yeah, I suppose if I'd have played around with it a little longer, I could have worked out how to get the right exposure. You know, I could tweak it in post-processing. But okay, so this morning, because I wanted to put something together other than those two locations, I thought I'll try some, let's go here so you can see, I've rigged up the camera on the tripod. Now outside I've got a bird feeder, which was given to me. You know who you are, thank you very much. It's lovely watching the birds. And I thought I don't really do a lot of bird photography, but by setting up the tripod here and using my timer, I've got the 300mm lens pointing at one specific location. So I've got it pointing at this kind of leaning post. So I'm zoomed right in, 300mm, and I've locked the focus in, and it's just a case, I don't have patience for this kind of thing. Trigger ready. Put some music on, you know, do some work. Oh, there's a bird. Take the shot. So let's have a look at my ornithology. Is that what you call it? Twitcher. So first of all, there's the bird feeder. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Are there 8? 8 blue tits there, or 9, or are they great tits? I don't know. I always thought that if they've got the yellow breast and the blue head, then they're blue tits, right? Someone told me they were grey tits, and I rebuked them. Don't be stupid. So this is my post. I've rigged up the camera perfectly. It's going to be poised. Whatever bird decides to sit on there, then I'm going to snap a shot. And I got some birds. So the first one is a dunnock. I thought it was a sparrow, but you've got this grey kind of ring around its neck, like what did they have in the Tudor times? You know, those ruffs. It's all grey around his neck. So I did a Google image search. It came up as a dunnock. Yeah. It's I'm not going to even... I did some research, and it was an interesting... I thought, I've never seen a dunnock. So I caught a dunnock. Then I caught this, and I thought, what is that? Is that a starling? Is it a thrush? Google search again, came up as a Tibetan blackbird. Who knew? Who knew I'd get a Tibetan blackbird in my garden? It may well be a starling or something. A couple of shots of this magnificent creature. I knew it was a woodpecker, but I was expecting a red head and a tufty bit. And I thought, okay, I'll have to Google it again. Turns out it's a great spotted woodpecker. Isn't that a beautiful, beautiful thing? I could get into bird photography, but I'd probably have to get a 500mm lens, because I've taken these with the 300mm and I've still cropped in. Thankfully, 24 megapixel on this entry level. I was watching a video the other day about a guy doing bird photography, and he was using his old Nikon D500. I thought, okay, let's do the whole comparison, because there's a website, if you put your brand versus another brand in the Google search, it comes up. So I did Nikon D500 versus D3200. The Nikon D500 came out in 2016. That came out in 2012. 12-year-old camera. The D500 is not an entry level. It's considered a professional camera. 19 megapixels. This has got 24 megapixels. So I can zoom in and I can still crop and not lose the aspect. Lovely bird. 3 images then of a robin, because it's winter, right? I did a post of a robin in, was it Instagram? Someone wrote a comment saying, nasty bird, bullies, blah, blah, blah. I thought, shush, birds are birds are birds, you know? They love each other, they hate each other, they defend their territory. Sweet little thing. Got him looking at me, look. There's that old saying, isn't there, that if you see a robin, it's a reminder of someone who's passed, a loved one or something. I know that my nan said, if you ever see a robin, you'll know I've come to visit you. If you want to believe in that kind of stuff, then hi, Nan. I mustn't, dismiss it. It is what it is. I've been getting a pheasant coming down, a rather pleasant pheasant. So I put the feed out onto the bird feeder, and of course, as the little birds are pecking away at it and it drops, the pheasant comes along. So I could get into this bird photography. I've set it at, let's have a look here, 320th of a second, very fast. I've left the aperture as wide as I can, f5 on that lens for that 300mm reach, and left it at auto ISO so that it can give me the light I need for the speed that I'm using and the aperture that I want. ISO triangle thing, isn't it? I'm trying to do a triangle here. Doesn't quite work. But yeah, I'm quite pleased with that. Nice big plump pheasant. Could have that instead of a turkey. So there you go. Should I get into bird photography? I like to call myself a photographer of things, and I think everything is appealing. Everything is worthy of a photograph. So if you're watching these videos and you realise actually you don't have to just focus on landscapes. Everything is open for photography. If you want to do, waterfalls with a long exposure, go for it. If you want to do cloudscapes, go for it. If you want to do motorsport, you should try it. It's a lot of fun. It's very exciting getting out with your camera and just, I think it's this whole thing of, if you don't go out, you don't take the picture, do you? And if it's your passion and your hobby, then find the time. Get out there and do it with the camera. Okay, I'll wind that one up. Hopefully it's not been too long. But yeah, end of another session. Look out for Saturday's video. It's going to be on autumn colours. I actually found some locations to do some autumn photography, so hopefully you'll enjoy that. And I'll either see you on Saturday or I'll see you next week for another midweek session. Thanks for watching and bearing with. Bye for now.